it's this living correction that religious communications has been talking about for thousands of years. It was discussed in Eastern, Hindu and other type what you people that are ignorant to other people's religious perspective, eternal faithful communications. Um, uh, this stuff has been discussed, Zoroastrian and other things, for thousands of years before the Romans took Jesus Christ and declared Christianity, right? And that was 2,025 years ago when he was crucified. When they wrote down the book, that was some 70 so years later. It was quite a while after that he was crucified that they wrote down the story of his life, right? And that was taken from documentation that they took and then gave to a person. And so, um, uh, but as far as the forms of discussion of what's happening during my life, okay, and they point to it. It's during this time, especially Hindu. You watch those Matrix movies and stuff. And the one lady sat there and said, "Well, the thing's the Nebuchadnezzar and all that." Yeah, there's. She said it's Christian. I said, "No, it's actually Hindu and Buddhism." And Buddhism was a reaction to Hinduism's fallacies, and that was just so forth. So it's more of a relativity thing, but the Matrix movies are based off of more of prophecy through the Indian people. Okay, the Indian. It started with the Indian. Yeah, there are a lot of people in China and Japan um, practiced communication through that faithful source. Krishna, Siddhartha. So, but they're going to be, the people that are most like them in spirit are the best sources of living correction from the fallacy and the fantasy. Okay, so D.T. Suzuki, okay, who lived at the same time as Judah Krishnamurti. Okay, D.T. Suzuki died in 1966, and Judah Krishnamurti passed away, I believe, in 1986, 20 years later. Okay, but there was no conflict in the eternal perception of the two men. They wouldn't get together and argue, and say, "You're wrong, you're right." And when Suzuki talked about proper authority, there was Judah who talked the same way. That's wrong thinking. That's wrong language. Okay. In order to speak in authority to protect people from human delusions of authority and abuse, you have to understand right from wrong, good from bad, understand eternity, and don't try to trap the human being in the finite delusions of the ego, right? And they're both very similar human beings. Right? And so when you have these stories and these perceptions, with people that take the stories and want to be a part of the stories and are always manipulating the narrative, obviously are not worthy of being the living correction. So they're not a part of the narrative. Because it's obvious. There's, dad's name Ralph, mom's name's Mary, born outside. I sit there and tell people that it's me. Okay, it's me. It's not Barack Obama. It's not Bill Gates. Mark, don't let Mark win. Just if Mark can stand up for a Lord's Prayer, then Mark will be okay. If Mark can't do that, he's missing the mark, right? And so you're just like. You can't live the Gospels for other people. You can only live them for yourself. That's why he says, "I am the light, I am the way, none of the faith of the Father except unto through me." So if, Mark's missing the mark because he's fighting and killing over money, and Earl's Lord, okay, then Earl is, I'm hitting the mark. How many times have you hit him? A lot, but that last time with the Pop-Tart thing, I'm out of here, right? You're funny. Well, Jesus said that, if they can't stand up for a Lord's Prayer, and you try and try and try, and then they try to abuse you into being like them, you just take your shoes off, kick dust to their house, and leave. That's all they're going to do. Let the dead bury the dead, or else just go. And you're like, it's depressing, but it's not as depressing as you guys think. Have you ever watched Requiem for a Dream? Or watching it, it's just like it's not as depressing as you think. No. The kids are a chip off the old block, and they're very much similar, and all the selfish behaviors that they're doing that you perceive as sad are all self-induced through selfishness. So it's not as sad as you think it is, right? Jesus being crucified to try to get you guys not be requiem for a dream. Well, that's sad. Why have you forsaken me? Forgive them, Father, for their. That's Jesus getting crucified in the Roman Empire because you guys wouldn't stand up for Lord's Prayer with him, and you accepted Roman gratuitous violence over the faith of Father Abraham. Now that's sad. That's man of sorrows. Peace be upon him. And the people taking Muhammad's redemption of Jesus and turning it into violent cult, genocidal tribalism, which it is to this day, right? So what happened to Muhammad and the denial of the truth of Muhammad's redemption, that's sad. Okay. But people in Iran and Iraq and Tel Aviv mass murdering each other over money, they're getting what they deserve, right? But it kills children. Yeah. Pharaoh had children. Okay. Goebbels had children. Okay. Do you understand? But when you betray the Messiah and you crucify him, and when Peter was crucified, that's sad, right? When Pharaoh's children die because of his ego, okay, they're getting what they deserve. Well, that's sad. It's not as sad as betraying the Messiah. The Messiah would save the children in Egypt from getting killed by correcting Pharaoh's ego. Okay. Murdering the Messiah gets children murdered. Okay. But they're getting what they deserve because Pharaoh is a self-righteous, disgusting turdbag, right? And so you've got to understand that, guys. You've got to have an internal locus of control, not external. You get those people on TV, look what God is doing in the Middle East. Okay, God's omniscient and omnipotent in the essence of all life. Have faith in God and be righteous. Live the Lord's Prayer. Okay, mass murdering over money is the Antichrist, the anti-Islam. Okay, the anti-Abraham. Okay. So you've got to understand. Okay, it's the anti-Buddha. Enlighten yourself. Be peaceful. Okay. Judah Krishnamurti at the UN in 1985. D.T. Suzuki, when they went, the Westerners got him and said, what can this Buddhist monk from Japan teach us Westerners about, living a religious, peaceful life? It's still very valid and beautiful to this day because it's based on eternal truth through faith in an endless circle. They said that with a Buddhist monk, it was probably Suzuki. They said, what can Westerners learn from you? And he took a stick and drew a circle in the sand. What? So it's really neat. What do you mean? What, are you trying to confuse me? No. I'm trying to help you enlighten yourself. If I have to explain everything to you, if you don't understand it and I'm run over by a truck, then who's going to keep you enlightened to have faith in infinite essence and understand a peaceful eternity? You can't let other people do it for you, because if he is murdered by the Roman Empire, then everybody's murdering in his name, and because he's not doing it for you, right? I don't have to. Jesus paid all. He paid out for all my sins. I'm out of debt. I'm out of debt. You're out of debt, huh? Did they forgive debt and trespass, love, one eternal, faithful peace? Then you're not out of debt. Okay. You just have a clean slate to go into debt tomorrow, but they're still going to call in that debt. Okay. You just don't have a thing where it's like, okay, I make $50 a week and my expenses are $100 a week. Okay. But they could come through and say, hey, here's all this and stuff. But then if you go back to life, back to reality, and your expenses are still $100 a week, and all you're getting paid is $50 a week, you're going to be back in debt till the day you die, man. Till the day you die, right? Okay. So you've got to understand. There's the floods washing away. Where did they? They must have got a lot of rain up in Rio Doso. I didn't know. That's wow. They need the water, up in the mountains and into the underground, places where the water's at and stuff. And so they need it. Their economic conflict and their aggressive abuse of economic conflict, I'm reaping what I sow. Yeah, it's just liar, liar, wolf. The damn pen is blue, right? Red. Damn pen is blue. Liar, liar. Liars be like that. Oh, we're tough. We're toughing it out. We'll make it through. We'll be back in business. I'm out of debt. They're out of debt on TV. Debt relief came and got them out of debt. They always say that shit. Mom always said, "Stupid is as stupid does." And there go. I can see those bomber planes. Right? There's a group I'm really fond of. They call themselves the Manhattans. Are you really ready for love, girl? Is it just a lonely talking again? This time when I fulfill your needs, you won't up and leave me, even though I'll let you come back. Life's eternal, grace is infinite, forgive him 7 times upon infinity. This time is different. Okay, we have quantum computing plugged into the planet, connected worldwide, and it's hard to keep them separated because they're all fighting each other, stuff, and they're going to get the same results. Because they're competing and fighting to have the best quantum computing, and they're plugged into the planet. They're going to get the same results. Life's eternal, grace is infinite. Gravity and photosynthesis are laws, but rules of genocide, accepted by sociopaths, are not laws. And so they're going to equate the mathematics of linguistics and applied physics of actions all similarly, be it Mandarin, be it in Arabic, be it in Farsi, be it in Abu Dhabi, be it in Dene, code talkers, wind talkers, right? So, truth is truth. Right? I'm the way, I'm the truth, I'm life. To the perfection of the humble faith of Father Abraham, the Buddha, the Krishna, and except through me right now, because I don't see anybody online that I know of like Judy Krishnamurti or D.T. Suzuki or Haile Selassie or Lord Solomon. So it's early bird, just like it says in the book. I know. I know. Okay, guys, I love you. I know. Well, then stand up for Lord'sburg. Okay, peace. If you don't return my love, then you're just trying to wash my love away with your ego and replace me with your ego. And so stand for Lord'sburg. All right, peace.